This whole chaotic mess we're watching right now isn't some random series of bad luck. It's a system straining under too many pressures, and frankly, most experts aren't even looking at the real weak spots. Forget the noise about who shot whom. The actual threat level comes down to one incredibly narrow choke point in the middle of the ocean. I'm talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Think of it as a microscopic valve controlling the lifeblood of civilization. Vital stuff: oil, yes, but critically, fertilizer and helium all has to squeeze through there, and Iran calls the shots. And when you put your finger on something that critical, you instantly give someone enormous leverage. Because roughly 20 to 30% of the world's fertilizer runs through that precise path. Shut that gate, and you don't get a mild shortage, you invite mass starvation on a global scale. But it gets worse than just hunger. Consider helium. For those of us dealing with tech, this element sounds obscure, but it's absolutely foundational. Without it, cutting off maybe 30% of the world's supply means semiconductors stop rolling off the line dead in their track. You lose the ability to make modern electronics. So, we've got simultaneous threats crippling our farms and grinding our digital economy to a halt, all hinging on one contested stretch of water. And let's talk about the supposed drama surrounding politicians trying to manage this beast. There's a persistent narrative that powerful figures are master strategists, pulling levers for grand national victories. But look closer. What seems like calculated genius might actually be sophisticated performance art. Some administrations seem so convinced they are winning wars or securing dominance because they are operating inside echo chambers fed carefully curated data. They mistake theatrical success for structural achievement. Moreover, when you see leaders aligning themselves with groups whose primary business model appears to be extortion, you shouldn't expect thoughtful foreign policy, you should anticipate opportunistic grabs. What really throws standard economic thinking out the window is realizing that things aren't fungible anymore. People treat barrels of crude oil like they're identical widgets, but they aren't. Different refined products demand unique processing paths. If a specific type of reserve vanishes due to regional collapse, you haven't just lost inventory, you've potentially crippled humanity's manufacturing base forever. Conventional finance loves neat graphs charting growth versus spending, treating everything as smooth curves. That ignores the brutal fact that every major shift in energy input translates almost perfectly into a dip in gross world product. These crises aren't theoretical dips on a chart, they impact the literal calories available to feed your family. So, what does this mean for the average person staring down mounting bills? Complacency is the fastest route to disaster. Simply putting solar panels on your roof won't save you if the underlying grid collapses or if the seed banks fail. True defense starts with radical self-reliance, having tangible local resources, especially food production skills, ready for when the abstraction of currency loses its grip. We are entering what looks less like a typical bubble burst and more like a full-blown systemic reset, bordering on dystopia if we allow unchecked corporate greed, built on endless debt cycles, to continue dictating terms. We need a paradigm shift away from ideology masquerading as governance. Neoliberal dogma promises infinite upward mobility fueled by perpetual borrowing, ignoring hard physics and biological limits. The planet has finite absorption rates for pollution, and our current rate of extraction exceeds anything sustainable. Therefore, clinging to outdated models of limitless capital accumulation is functionally suicidal. Instead, we need functional hybrid systems that harness competitive drive but anchor decisions firmly in collective well-being and long-term maintenance, similar to successful cooperative models seen historically. Survival hinges on recognizing that sometimes the smartest thing you can do politically is refuse to fund incompetence disguised as visionary leadership. Check out Profile for podcast summaries.